She left on a rainy evening, her suitcase in hand, her eyes cold and unfeeling as if the years we spent together had been nothing more than a forgettable chapter. She didn't even turn back to look at me when she walked out the door. The silence in the house that followed was heavier than any words she could have spoken. I had loved her with everything I had, yet she chose betrayal over loyalty. At first, my heart begged me to run after her, to beg her to stay, to try and fix what she had broken. But somewhere deep inside, a softer voice reminded me that love is not meant to be begged for. Love should not come at the cost of self-respect. I stood still, my hands trembling, my breath shallow, and realized that chasing her would only mean losing myself completely. The days that followed were a blur of pain. I replayed every memory, every smile, every whispered promise in the dark, and wondered where it had gone wrong. Was I not enough? Was I too blind to see the signs? My heart ached, but every time I thought of running after her, I remembered how easily she had chosen someone else over me. That truth was more painful than the loneliness she left behind. Slowly, I began to understand that her leaving was not the end of my story. It was the beginning of a new one. She had freed me, though it didn't feel like freedom at first. The nights were long, filled with silence that screamed at me, but in that silence, I started to hear myself again. I began to dream, not of her return, but of the life I could rebuild. I poured myself into my work, into hobbies I had abandoned while trying to keep her happy. I found solace in running early in the mornings, the cool air filling my lungs with a strange sense of hope. I started painting again, something I hadn't touched since college. For the first time in years, the colors on the canvas reflected my soul, broken but healing, wounded but alive. Friends who I had drifted away from because of her came back into my life. They reminded me that I was not defined by her betrayal. We laughed again, shared meals, and talked about everything except her. I realized how much I had given up for someone who had never truly valued me. One evening, while sitting alone at a small cafe, I saw her across the street with the man she had chosen over me. She was smiling, but something about her eyes told me she was not as happy as she pretended to be. For a moment, my heart twisted in old pain, but then it loosened. I no longer felt the urge to go to her. Instead, I paid for my coffee, walked away, and never looked back. With time, I met someone new. She wasn't like my ex-wife. Her laughter was genuine, her kindness effortless, and she never made me feel like I wasn't enough. We started slow, building trust brick by brick, and for the first time in a long time, I felt safe in love. I told her everything about my past, about the betrayal, the nights of loneliness, and the pain I carried. She didn't flinch. She simply held my hand and said, "You deserved better then. You deserve better now." Her words healed wounds I thought would never close. The man I had been, the one broken and abandoned, was gone. In his place stood someone stronger, someone who had learned that self-respect and love must walk hand in hand. I was no longer defined by the woman who betrayed me but by the choices I made after she left. She had left me thinking she destroyed me. Instead, she unknowingly gave me a chance to rise again. I rebuilt myself, not because of her, but in spite of her. And every step I took forward reminded me that life after betrayal is not just possible, it can be beautiful. I no longer carry bitterness for her. In fact, I am grateful she left when she did. Had she stayed, I would have wasted my life chasing love that was never real. Her betrayal was my heartbreak, but also my liberation. Now, when I look in the mirror, I don't see the man she walked away from. I see the man who refused to run after someone who didn't deserve him. I see a man who chose to begin again. And that beginning led me to the life I was always meant to have, one built on truth, respect, and love that doesn't need to be begged for. My story didn't end with her leaving. It started there.